Vedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So now I see interpretation button is there. But it doesn't give option for Polish. I don't know how that works to add Polish. But that's all I can say on that. Yeah, so...
Excuse me, Guru Maharaj, who is translating Polish? Kavichandra Prabhu, I can't see him.
No, Vrajaduta Gopal is
Vrajaduta Gopal. Okay, Vrajaduta Gopal. Now, thank you.
Okay. Today is Saturday, the 30th of October. It's practically the end of October. We are very much in the midst of the month of Kartik. I'm speaking, as usual, from Sadhu-bhavan in Poland. And the rest of you are in so many different places, all over the planet. So thank you all for joining. We're going to begin with a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakura from his Kalyana Kalpataru, Upadesa, song number 18. I believe this is the second to the last song. In this song, he's doing quite a bit of scolding to the mind. All of the songs he's been addressing the mind, advising the mind as he's doing here. It seems like in this song he's doing a lot of sharp scolding, which is, yeah, sometimes we need to do this to ourselves, to get back to or keep on the straight and narrow path, as we say in English. After that, we will see about some show and tell, if anyone is liking to do. I think I know that Brajali Lavati has something to share.
Oh, Guru Maharaj, yes, I'm here. Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to finish what I wanted to show. So please, next time, if there would be time.
Okay. So then not. So there's maybe others. We'll see. Okay, here we go. And then after that, well, then we'll see. We have some hermeneutics to talk about. I know you're all excited about that. And I think we should also continue with the Damodarastakam, looking at the explanation. Maybe we can tie that together with some hermeneutics. And what else? We'll see. Maybe some Manashiksha from Raghunath Das. I also have Sri Krishna Lila Stava in front of me from Srila Sanatana Goswami. And this is his series, his long series of prayers to the Lord, obeisances to the Lord, including obeisance to Damodar. Well, I thought he would tell more, but no. Okay, there's one or two references. All right, here we go. We have Upadesa song number 18, which begins, Ki ar Bolibo tore mana, mukhe bolo su-prema bastutah tyajiya hema, sunya-grantha ancale bandhana. What more shall I say to you, my dear mind? You are expert at giving lip service by always speaking of love for Krishna, love for Krishna. But the real fact is that you are renouncing the real gold simply to tie an empty knot in the border of your cloth. In other words, you lose the substance to grasp at something false. So mukhe bolo, with your mouth, you chant prema. Bastutah hema tyajiya. Tyajiya, having given up the hema, the gold, which is bastutah, which is the real thing, the vastu. Sunya-grantha ancale bandhana. Sunya-grantha, an empty knot. Of course, the word grantha can also mean book, especially Shastra, sacred books, holy books are called grantha. So a sunya-grantha could be an empty holy book, a book that is not really giving spiritual illumination. Ancale bandhana, in the border of your cloth. So making a show, in other words. Talking about prema. Oh yes, love, 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 love. Love, love, love. Do, 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 do. Okay. Then, oh, this looks like misspelling. Abhysiya, maybe it's abhysiya. Abhysiya asrupata, lampha, jhamph, akasmat, murccha-pray, Thakura padiya, loka banchite ranga pracharya asat-sanga, kamini-kancana labhagiya, well practiced in artificially shedding tears. Abhysiya asrupata. Yeah, so that must be with an A in between. Abhyasa means practice. Abhysiya, practiced. Ashru means tears. Asrupata, falling tears. And in suddenly leaping here and there, lampha, jhamph, akasmat, suddenly. You like to fall on the ground and pretend to be unconscious in ecstatic love for Krishna. Murccha-pray, as if unconscious. Thakura padiya, takaha, keeping, remaining, padiya, fallen. Elok banchite ranga. You perform such mischievous pranks only to cheat banchita, the innocent public, loka, and by broadcast and popularize pracharya, wicked association, asat-sanga. This is all such nonsense, just so you can attract women and money. Kamini-kancana lava giya. Kamini is women, kancana is gold. Lava, to gain. Premier sadhana bhakti, in quotation marks, ta te naila anurakti shudho prem kanome milibe kanome kamone, maybe it should be kamone. Dasa-aparadha tyajiya nirantara namabaji kripa-hale su-prema payibe. Okay, premier sadhana. The means for attaining pure ecstatic love for Godhead is called devotional service. Premier sadhana bhakti tate noilo anurakti. If you have no inclination or attachment, nailo anurakti, to this pure devotional process, shuddha prema, then how do you expect to factually come into contact with pure love of Krishna? Shuddha prema, yeah, I think that should be kamone, not kenome. Kamone, milibe. Milibe would be, will you meet? How will you meet? Kamone milibe. How will you meet Shuddha Prema, pure love? Carefully, okay, now we get some advice to the mind. First, rhetorical question and then advice. Carefully avoiding the 10 offenses in chanting the holy name. Just worship that name incessantly. Dasa-aparadha tyajiya, which is tyajiya, nirantara, constantly, nama bhaji, which is bhajiya, and you will attain the highest quality of pure ecstatic love, su-prema, payibe, when the mercy comes to you, kripa-hale. Kripa-hale su-prema, payibe. And now some more scolding. But your idea, dear mind, na manile su-bhajana, sadhu-sange sankirtan, na korile nirjane smarana. Your idea, dear mind, is to neglect the best and most auspicious process of worshiping Krishna, su-bhajana, namely the congregational chanting of his holy names in the association of purified devotees, sadhu-sange sankirtana. And you don't even bother to try to remember him in a lonely place. Na kurile nirjane smarane. Nirjane, in a place where there's no jana, no people. Na korile, you will not, or you may not. Na utya brikshopari. Where are we? This is just like trying to pick fruits forcibly from a tree vriksha upari, na utya, not climbing, by jumping at them from the ground. Tanatani pal dhuri. Tanatani is maybe jumping. Dusta-phal korile arjuna. Instead of climbing the tree, to properly pick the sweet ripened fruits from the top of the tree, you will simply get the sour, unripe fruits by such a jumping process. Dusta-phal. Dusta means bad. Arjuna. Reaching, maybe. And then, 5th verse. Akvaita Krishna prem. Ecstatic love for Krishna, which is completely freed from the propensity to cheat. Jaina su-bhajana hema is just like spotless pure gold. Hema. Su-bhajana prem. Su-bhajana without fault. Hema, gold. And the fruits of such pure love are rarely found in this world. E pal nriloke durlabha. However, my dear mind, your cheating process, kaitave banchana matra, of imitating so-called love is simply a fraud. How age jogapatra? To get the real pure love, how age jogapatra, you have to first make yourself a fit candidate. Yogya patra. Yogya can mean appropriate. Patra is a receptacle. And then true transcendental love will become very easily obtainable for you. Tabe, then, prema, love, hoibe, will be sulabha, very easily obtained. And finally, kame preme deko bai lokonaite bhedhanai tabu kam prema nahi hoy. My dear brother, bhai, just compare the characteristics of your bogus lust, kama, with the characteristics of true love for Krishna, preme. Deko, look. Lakshanete bheda nai. There is practically no difference, bheda, in the external symptoms, lakshanete, of both. Tabukam prema nahi hoy. Tumito barile kam mitya tahe premanan aropile kise shubo hoy. Nevertheless, this artificial lust, kama, is definitely not true love at all. Mithya. You are completely covered with lust. Let's see, aropile. But you lie and falsely call it prema. Mithya tahe prema nama. Therefore, how will you be blessed with real spiritual well-being? So the question word is kise. How? Aropile is perhaps blessed here. Aropile kise shubha. Shubha, of course, means auspiciousness, illumination, all good things. Here translated as real spiritual well-being. Okay, let's try it. Whoa. Ki ar bolibo tode mana. Ki ar bolibo tode mana. Mukhe bolo prema bastutah tyajiya hema sunya-grantha ancale bandhana. Mukhe bolo prema bastutah tyajiya hema sunya-grantha ancale bandhana. Bas abhysiya asrupata lampha jhamph akasmat murccha-pray padya. Abhysiya asrupata lampha jhamph akasmat murccha-pray abhysiya. Eloka vanchite ranga prachariya asat-sanga. Eloka vanchite ranga prachariya asat-sanga. Kamini-kancana abhysiya. Kamini-kancana abhysiya. Preme sadhana bhakti tate noila anurakti. Premera sadhana bhakti tate noila anurakti. Sadhu-bhavan kamini-kancana. Sadhu-bhavan kamini-kancana. Dasa-aparadha tyajiya nirantara nama bhaje. Dasa-aparadha tyajiya nirantara nama bhaje. Kripa hole su-prema pahibe. Kripa hole su-prema pahibe. Namanile su-bhajana Sudha-sange sankirtana. Namanile su-bhajana sadhu-sange sankirtana. Nakorile nirjane smarana. Nakorile nirjane Nakorile nirjane smarana. Na uttiya brikshopari tanatani paldori na utiya brikshopari tanatani paldori dusta-phal korile arjuna dusta-phal korile arjuna akaitaba Krishna prema jena su-bhimala hema akaitaba Krishna prema jena su-bhimala hema epal niloke durlabha epal niloke durlabha kaitabe vanchana matre how age yoga patra kaitabe vanchana matre how age yoga patra taba prema hoibe sulabha tabe prema hoibe sulabha kame prema dekovai lakanete vedanai kame prema dekovai lakanete vedanai tabukam prema nahi hoy tabukam prema nahi hoy tumito barile kam mityata he prema nam tumito barile kam mityata he prema nam aropile kise su-bhajana aropile kise su-bhajana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Nitai Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Krishna Hey Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki jai. Okay, this is our lesson to the mind for today. Contrast between kama and prema. We want prema, not kama. And we don't want to be cheaters, putting on show. In Bengal, you see this. Apparently, Bhaktivinoda Thakura saw this sort of very big demonstrations by some people of so-called ecstasy. Abhysiya, asrupata, lampha, jhamph, akasmat, murccha-pray, tyajiya. Tears, jumping, falling on the ground. Yeah. Making a show. The show is not the substance. The appearance is not the substance. Okay. Okay. Well, why not? Just briefly, because this is the month of Kartik, the month of Damodar. Let's look briefly at Shri Krishna Lila Stava. And as I said, these are prayers by Sri Sanatana Goswami to the Lord, addressing him directly with the vocative case and simultaneously describing his pastimes. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah. So this is a section describing child Krishna and his mischief. And verse number 96 is Pito Lukala Sopana Kshira Bandhana Vibedaka. Kshira Bandha Vibedaka. Shikya Bhanda Samakarshan Dvantagara Pravesha Prit. You found your way into dark storerooms and broke the yogurt pots. So he's called Kshira Bandha Vibedaka, the breaker, O breaker of the pots of milk. So this is a way you can address God, except that he's not in the mood of God, but he is the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. Kshira Bandha Vibedaka. You built ladders from chairs and grinding mortars to reach even the pots hung from the ceilings by ropes. Okay, the first, the translation's a little backwards from the Sanskrit verse. Dvanta-agara pravesha krit. You are the one who entered, you did the entering, krit, pravesha krit, into dvanta, dark, agara, storerooms. So, O you Lord who enter dark storerooms. And then What does he do there? Pita ulukala sopana. You whose ladders and mortars, wooden mortars, grinding mortars, ulukala, are your pita, we know the word pita, yoga pita, for example, it means seat. But here he's using it like a, something to stand on. And then, shikya bandha samakarshin. You are the one who were able to reach samakarsh. You're a samakarshi, one who draws toward bandha, the pots, which are shikya on rope swings. So these are all names of Krishna, so to say. And then the next verse, Svangaratna pradibhadya gopi darshyati vadaka gopi vratokti vibramyan netramatri praharshana. The jewels on your body gave ample light for such theft. Because someone may ask, how does he see in the dark rooms? Answer, he has bright jewels on his body and they illuminate. You, Krishna, audaciously taunted the cowherd women. But when they threatened you, your eyes would dart about in fear. Ativadaka, you speak very boldly to the gopis in an audacious way, audacities, darshtya. In other words, being really rude. Netra matri praharshana. One who's giving pleasure to your mother, whose eyes give pleasure. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Gopi vrata ukti bi brahmyan netra. You whose eyes wander, brahmyan, or who move about quickly, be out of fear of the ukti, the statements. Oh, it's vrata ukti, the threatening speech. Vrata means vow, so it's a vow to make trouble. So vratokti, the gopis are threatening Krishna, and his eyes are looking around because of that. But all of this gives great pleasure to Mother Yashoda. Matri praharshana. Okay. Now, from the Damodarastakam, let's see if I have it here. Not there. Okay, it's here somewhere. Yeah. Damodarastakam. We might remember from last week, we started with the first verse, Namamishwaram Sachitananda Rupam lasat kundalam gokule jamanam yashodayo lukalatavamanam paramrishtam atyantato drutya gopya. And we heard that the first line is giving us tattva vishesha, the specific attributes of his tattva, that he is the Ishvara Sachitananda Vigraha. And then the second line, Latsat Kundalam Gokuli Vrajamanam Rupa Vilasa. It's giving the form, Vishesha, and the Rupa Vishesha, sorry, not Vilasa, Rupa Vishesha. And then, actually, then that's just Lasat Kundalam, that's the Rupa. And then Gokule Brajamanam is indicating Parivara Vishesha, that he is situated in Vrindavan, and that means he's with his associates, his family. Parivara means the family. And this shows his unique excellence. And then the last two lines are describing Lila Vishesha, the specific characteristics of his Lila. Yashoda biolukalatavamanam paramishtam atyantato drutya gopya. That Mother Yashoda is chasing him via ulukalat, out of fear. He runs Davamanam from the ulukalat, from the ulukala, from the grinding water. Paramrishtam, and he is caught from behind. Atyanta tadrutya gopya, by this quickly running gopi, namely Mother Yashoda. Now, one point that's mentioned here I've liked very much. I don't think we talked about this. You may have heard this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, I believe it is, speaks about how Mother Yashoda is making so much arrangement for her beloved Krishna to receive the best of milk, for which she has 8 special cows eating special grass, from which comes special milk, which is described as having the aroma of lotuses. And one reason she's doing all of this is because, well, she receives complaints from her neighbors that Krishna comes and steals the yogurt from the neighbors. He breaks their yogurt pots and distributes to the monkeys and whatever. And we can imagine she's highly embarrassed by this. My child is doing such mischief. He's giving our household a bad reputation. This has to stop. And so she reasons that, well, why would he do this? Because he's not satisfied with the milk that we give. So I have to give him better milk. Better milk and butter and yogurt. And for that, she's making all this arrangement. But what does Krishna do? He breaks those pots. He distributes that to the monkeys. It's quite exasperating. And therefore, we can imagine Mother Yashoda's, now she's getting quite upset. It's like, no, you can't do this. And so she's going to tie him up. And so she chases, and she has a stick in her hand. And therefore, rudantam muhur netra yugmam mrijantam. He's rubbing his eyes, mrijantam. He's rubbing both of his eyes, netra yugmam, muhur, repeatedly. because rudantam, because he's crying. Kara amboja yukmena, with his two lotus hands, satankanetram. His eyes again are, how was it? That's explained somewhere in here. In any case, muhu shvasa kampa trireka anka kanta stita graivam. Again, repeatedly, he's breathing and shaking. Shvasa, kampa means shaking. Trireka, the three lines on his neck, anka kanta, kanta his neck, stita graiva, which are situated on his neck. Damodaram bhakti badham. And this is, bhakti badham is the main point of this verse. Okay, he cries and rubs his eyes again and again, and his two lotus hands, with his two lotus hands, karamboja yukmena. His eyes are fearful, satanka netram, I guess, and his breathing quick, shvasa kampa. As Mother Yashoda binds his belly with ropes, he shivers in fright. Kampa. And the pearl necklace shakes upon his neck. That's the anka kanta. Stita graiva. Which is marked with three lines, trireka, like a conch shell. Oh, which is anka. To the Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound by his mother's pure love, that's bhakti bandhana, not by robe, I offer my humble obeisance. The obeisance part is not explicitly in the verse. It's explained then, the reason when Mother Yashoda is trying to bind Krishna, it's always short. It's short by 2 fingers. She adds another rope. Now it's twice as long. She wraps it around. Certainly it's going to fit this time, because last time it was only short 2 fingers. Now it's so much longer. So she wraps it around. And it's again 2 fingers short. Another rope, again 2 fingers short. And so on. So here, the reason for the failure of the rope to bind him is bhakti badham. He can be bound only with devotion. No other power can bind him. And as we know famously from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the 2 fingers can be taken symbolically, 1 finger as the effort, the cheshta of the devotee to approach the Lord, and the other finger, the kripa, the mercy of the Lord, both being required. And so we have, in our understanding of how these transcendental things work, we have both cat and monkey philosophy all wrapped up in one pastime of Lord Damodar and Mother Yashoda. So he's bound by the rope because, of course, Krishna agrees to be bound by the rope. And this is a demonstration of the Lord's excellent quality of coming under the control of his devotees' pure love, Bhakti-badham. And this is a nice point. The Lord responds to bhakti in two ways. From Mother Yashoda's point of view, he is conquered and bound by her loving parental devotion, or vatsalya. And from his own point of view, he willingly allows her to bind him. He willingly allows her to. He's not begrudging. He's not saying, okay, well, you're trying so hard, so I guess I'll just let you do it. No, he's happily agreeing to be bound, even though no rope can bind him. So this is a very special, very crucial attribute of the Lord, that he comes under the control of his devotees. But as we understand in the beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's not so easy. Sudurlabha, one of the qualities of pure devotion. It's rarely obtained. And why is that? Because Krishna is not so easily giving himself. He wants to make sure we are fully committed to him. Okay, so that is the second verse. Rudantam muhur netra yugmang mrijantam karamboja yugmena satanka netram muhu shvasakampa trirekanka stita graivam damodaram bhaktivadam. So if we remember nothing else from this verse, what's important is Bhakti-badham. The Lord is badham, bound by bhakti. And he cries. And that's his Lila, which could lead us into some discussion of hermeneutics. But before we do that, let's see if any of you have something you want to show and tell, or simply tell, or simply show. Anyone want to venture forth and tell us something from your life? Oh, Brajali Lavati.
Yes, may I say just a few sentences? I want to apologize for not preparing what I thought I would. I had some obstacles and I just couldn't do it. It is about, I wanted to show all the devotees and you my service about cows, and this is what I thought I could do, but I couldn't for today. So I ask you for forgiveness and all the devotees, maybe for good wishes, so that I don't encounter the obstacles the next week, so I can be ready in 7 days.
Okay.
I think everything is better when sharing with devotees. Somehow good wishes come forward.
Yes, definitely. Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Anything? Anyone else? Anything else? Maybe I should just share a little what I've been doing this last week. I've been very much in editorial mode. I've been asked by the BBT of Australia to help with the introduction to their new edition of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this introduction has been written already, and I'm just editing, and it's been written by Ananta Sarovara. She has worked very hard on it, and she's done a very impressive work. She's extremely knowledgeable on the subject of bhakti rasa. And so she was asked to write this. So I'm just doing, I would say, mainly cosmetic work to the language to make it a bit easier, so on. But it's a bit of a marathon. I would have other things to do, but I've been putting aside so that I can do this, and I hope to finish. Well, I hope to finish at least one phase of the editing in the next couple of days. I'll probably have to come back and go through everything again, but it's, yeah, it's a rather long introduction. The publication, maybe I've mentioned this before, I don't know, but the Australian BBT is preparing a new edition of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which will be 5 volumes. It's going to be like Srila Prabhupada's books with, I guess they're including the Devanagari. It'll have transliteration, it'll have word for every verse. And it's going to include commentary from Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as I understand. And it's going to have very extensive index and some appendices. It's going to be quite comprehensive. It is, so to say, based on the work of His Holiness Bhanu Swami, who made a translation some years ago. As I understand, they've been working with him, but also they've been reviewing all of his work. I don't know, tightening up the translation, refining, fixing, elaborating. Yeah, so that's happening. That's a little something from the BBT world. Maybe I could ask Pracharananda if there's any news from the BIHS world.
There is a little bit of news from the BIHS world, interestingly enough, although I'm a little bit more on the peripheries of it than I was before I started teaching in this school here. We are, excuse me, well, I'm working on a book for the BIHS, which I'm completing some chapters on by the end of the year, which is meant as a Sankirtan bridge book, something sort of in the mood of the original Origins magazine, but with more updated and modern scientific content and a little bit more of a, let's say, conciliatory tone to to the modern scientists. But then also maybe something that's interesting also for some of the devotees assembled here is that we are hosting a conference. It'll be there'll be an aspect of the conference that we're hosting here in Gainesville in the house that was donated to us over the summer by Kridananda Maharaj. And, but there'll also be an opportunity for devotees to participate via Zoom. And that is looking at the concepts of time and space in Puranic cosmology. So
It sounds timely and spacely.
Yeah, maybe more spacely than timely, but you got it.
So is that kind of open for ordinary living entities to attend?
I don't know really any ordinary living entities in the Hare Krishna movement, but it's open for anybody to attend. But you need to participate, which means that you would need a participant would need to submit an abstract. So someone who wants to attend.
Oh, it's only for presenters.
Yeah, and these things are typically done under with some degree of confidentiality to foster debate, really.
But it's not for kibitzers.
It's not for kibitzers, no. I'm hoping that we can organize a conference for a broader audience where people can present, but then also people can come just see the presentations and see the posters within the next year. But it's been a lot. We've had some difficulties with the house itself, so our energies have been somewhat distracted from public facing.
Oh,
yeah.
That means the ghosts started coming out of the woodwork as soon as you moved in?
No, the woodwork started falling out of the foundation of the house.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I could also that next weekend, all of the Bhaktivedanta Academy staff here is attending the annual American Montessori conference. So Montessori is a very prominent form of early year like youth pedagogy, and so I might be able to do a little show and tell about some of the stuff that we've learned there.
Yes, please do. That could be interesting. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. What else? What else? Anyone? Lalitamrita is doing some sewing in Mayapur. That's okay. That's good. Is there any news from Mayapur you want to share?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I don't know any news. We are just living in the jungle and looking forward to winter time. Now it's finally getting below 30 degrees. And I'm preparing for Parikram. There will be this year Kartik Parikram. Looking forward to visiting these other places around. And in the evening, we sometimes go to hear Damodarastakam in the temple and like that.
They had a big hoopla abhishek installation of Prabhupada Murti in the big temple, didn't they?
Yes. I went there shortly for a visit. I didn't participate much.
So Prabhupada is installed there. It's not that they just brought him in and took him back out. He's there now.
This is it's a new Murti, and they keep him in a separate room. They wanted to have a deity they could worship in TOVP, so they have some pujari who is doing worship every day. But it's a separate. It's a different Murti.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. Nice. Something happens.
Yes. I try to look from time to time the differences in the temple itself, but it's very slowly now. All this finishing work, it's going very slowly. Still, I think they need a lot. I mean, it would take years. I think still. I mean, unless they suddenly speed up very surprisingly. Yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Oh, yes, I have another nice news. I think he won't mind telling. No, before that, Dharmagupta and Odarya Chandrika, you have the hand up.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna devotees. So we just have a quick update on news on Dubai Expo 2020. It's still called 2020, although it's 2021, but anyway. So devotees are starting a second batch of events. So there was a first batch in October, and in November, as Diwali is approaching, as Gordon Puja in the same time, but Diwali is a huge thing here, in huge festival. So devotees in the Indian pavilion are arranging the very, very big event with dance performances, with drama. They'll make a whole theatrical play of Lord Ramachandra and the whole story about
Ravana.
Yes, how he killed Ravana, how the whole like a theatrical presentation in a very, very nice way with so many devotees involved. They were actually asked by the Indian government representatives to do that, and they were very happy to take part in it, and they engaged so many devotees into that service. So they are preparing a huge event. I think it's next Wednesday, coming Wednesday. And besides of that, they had in the first batch they had some like a Mridanga presentation because Pundarik Prabhu and his brother Shyam, they are teaching Mridanga basically here in our yatra. So they had a kind of demo presentation of the different Indian instruments, and they presented the Mridanga play in a very professional way. They're really like a professional players. So it happened that none other than government representatives of Dubai were here, and with them the government representatives from Saudi Arabia as well. So they were so amazed by the performance, so they invited them into Saudi Arabia pavilion. So they will be performing in Saudi Arabia pavilion. It's like the whole thing took a very interesting turn now. So, but they said, don't exactly like Hare Krishna and these things. So Pundarik said, okay, can we do like a Gauranga? Gauranga is fine. So Gauranitai. So they will have in front of all the Saudi Arabia, Saudi royal family and everyone, they will have a huge performance of Gauranitai. It's like this expo is really coming. Krishna is really having a fun.
Yeah. I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu must be laughing.
So we are also invited to take some part. Very Chandrika also have some.
It's okay. I will share if something will happen. Then I will share. Otherwise, before that,
it's a secret still. Yeah.
So. Okay.
Hare Krishna. That's it. Just a small update.
Yeah. Yeah, also I wanted to share my gratitude to Vamshivat, Croatia devotee since many, many years. I don't think I ever see him with us here, but he has kindly given quite a substantial portion of a inheritance that he received. He has given as a donation to the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies, specifically for the research project, which myself and Radhikaraman are overseeing, the Bhagavata Purana research project. So this becomes a significant push for us. I think it's going to be like kind of like seed money for some substantial development that can put, as we say, put us on the map, put the Bhagavatam on the map. This we won't see happen immediately. These things go slowly, but yeah, so we're grateful to him for that. Right. Anything else? Other news from far or near? Okay. Well then, I think it's time we migrate to our hermeneutics topic, which we are taking at a snail's pace, we say. Vaishnava Hermeneutics ki jai. Hare Krishna. We're talking about Siddhanta, and we haven't, at some point you may be asking, okay, so what is this Siddhanta that you're talking about? Because first of all, we've been talking about how it's a good thing to have Siddhanta, a conclusive, we may say, axiomatic truths. And another point, which is discussed in some detail in this hermeneutics work within the supplementary materials, is that Siddhanta has to be something quite concise. You have to be able to sort of grasp it all in a very compact way. Because if we would say, for example, okay, for us followers of Srila Prabhupada, we might want to say all of the books of Srila Prabhupada are put together. That's our Siddhanta. Yeah, we could say that. But then it wouldn't be very practical. How would we apply it? How would we, because what we're going to see is the point is of one of the major functions. Here, I'll quote, the core part of hermeneutical execution is based on the comparison of statements to be verified with Siddhanta. So you get some statement, you hear something from Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, and something about it is difficult to comprehend or in some way hard to digest, or there can be, we went through a list of possible sorts of difficulties. So then what to do with this? Well, a kind of first step is to say, well, let's see how this fits with Siddhanta. But what if I then say, okay, Siddhanta is Prabhupada's books. That's the entire Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion. You know, how long is it going to take? And what sort of clear conclusion are you going to come to from all of that? So therefore, the point is Siddhanta is something which is quite compact. And this is true in many traditions of the Vedic and post-Vedic and even non-Vedic traditions. And we have some examples of this. Let's see. Oh, before we get to that, here's a really interesting 2 verses from the Parashara Purana, which is one of the 18 Upa Puranas. I'll just read the translation. O sage, the Veda Shastra unexpectedly appears for the people to be having many mouths. But when described with logic, it again shines brightly as having one mouth. It is by the order of the Lord, that is, Lord Shiva, that they make the multitude of nyaya, or reasoning, tools to determine all the consistent conclusions within Shastra by presenting it in the form of sutras. Okay, so that's an explanation of what a sutra is. Sutra is a short aphorism, which is compact, having a purpose of giving clear, singular voice to the apparently many-voiced Vedic and post-Vedic literature. Okay. Let's see now. Where am I? It's been a while now. I've been trying to get to a certain point. Well, let me look here. Okay. Yeah. So a very important, compact, concise statement of Siddhanta for us, followers of Srila Prabhupada, followers of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakura, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, is what's called the Dasha Mula Tattva of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura. And this is in the form of a verse in Sanskrit, which I will read. It's a kind of long verse. I don't know the name of the meter. I don't remember. Amnaya prahatatvam harimiha paramang sarva shaktim rasabdim tatpinnang sangschajivan prakritika valitan tatvimuktangs chabhavat Veda Veda Prakashang Sakalamapi Hare Sadhanang Shuddha Bhaktim Satyam Tat Pritim Evetyupadishati Janan Gaura Chandra Svayam Saha. So in this verse we find 10 principles, 10 statements of Siddhanta. And I want to go through these, and you'll notice that all of them are familiar to you, but here they are. They're stated in sort of clear black and white form. So the first is the Vedas are the principal scriptural evidence, which in turn expound the following 9 principles. So this first principle is giving us pramana. How do we know what we know? We know it ultimately from Veda, which is called Amnaya. The second principle is Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. Now that's slightly an interpretation because the verse doesn't say Krishna, the verse says Hari. Hari is Paramam Tattvam, he's the supreme truth. But okay. We understand Hari means Krishna, and for that we have other explanations from Shastra. Third point, he possesses all energies, sarva shaktim, and that's going to be hugely, hugely, hugely important for setting us apart from the Advaitavadis, from the followers of Shankara and so on. God has energies. How many energies? Sarva, all energies. The fourth point, he is the ocean of rasa, rasa abdim. Now, this particular one, which constitutes simply one word, well, you can say it's a samasa of two, rasa abdim, distinguishes Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement from a similar statement by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana, which has 9 principles, which in turn is similar to a statement from the Madhva Sampradaya, from Vyasatirtha. And we have those also quoted, but let's go back. So Rasabdim, he is the abda, the ocean of rasa. We don't find that in the Madhva line. We don't even find it in Baladev Vidyabhushana. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the next point, number 5. The living entities are his, that is, Hari's, the Lord's, separated parts and parcels. Tat binnang sangs tyajiya. So amsha means part, and binna means separated, and jivan means the living entities. Then the 6th point, the living entity, due to his nature of marginal energy, may become conditioned by the material energy. Prakriti Kavalitan is explaining that. We have become, we are bewildered by material energy, by Prakriti. That's the bad news, but true news. And then comes the good news. Tat vimuktangs cha. Due to his marginal energy, the living entity in the liberated condition is free of the influence of material nature. The tat here refers to Prakriti. It's a shorthand. The word tat is very commonly found, especially in the Goswami's commentarial literature. It's sometimes tricky to know what it's referring to. Okay, then the 3rd line, Veda abheda prakasham. Everything in this material creation is inconceivably one and different from the Supreme Lord Sri Hari. Veda abheda prakasham. Sakalam api hare. Everything, sakalam, is from Hari, Harehe, Veda, different, and also Aveda, Prakasham, manifestation, Prakasham. And then 9, Sadhanam Shuddha Bhaktim, pure devotional service is the highest occupation for the living entity. Shuddha Bhaktim is sadhanam. Sadhanam we know the word sadhana, like spiritual practice, but it can also just mean occupation, what you do. And finally, Sadyam tat pritim eva. Pure love of Krishna is the living entity's ultimate goal of life, the prayojana. So we have most of them from 2 through 8 our sambandha. They're telling us about who we are, what's our relation with the Lord. Then the ninth one is giving us abhysiya, what to do about it, what to do, Shuddha Bhakti, sadhana. And the 10th is prayojana, pure love of Krishna is the living entity's ultimate goal of life. Now, we could take all of this if we wanted to. I won't do this now, but we could do it. We could take individual or collective verses from the Damodarastakam and see how they connect with these 10 principles. Now, I just now realized something. And that is that with all my best intentions, I didn't share what I was showing, what I was talking about. So I'll share it now. And I'm going to put these 10 points here. And then, yeah. Okay, hopefully you can see that, and hopefully it's not too small. Can you see all 10 of these?
Yes, Gurudev, we can.
Okay, so please just meditate on these for the next minute and a half, and I will be right back. Or you can also say hello to each other. Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm back now. Well, let's see if anyone has a comment or a question about any of this, the 10 principles, the dasha mula tattva.
Here is one question, Guru Maharaj. Avadhuta Roy, my obeisances. Here is mentioned that the Supreme Lord is an ocean of rasa, transcendental mellows. And the next point is that we are parts and parcels. So that means that we are also having some of that rasa deeply inherited, I would say, in the soul. The rasa is not separate from the soul. Is that correct, you? What do you think about this?
Oh, I see. You want to get into that subject. You like controversies, don't you? I think you didn't mean inherit. I think you meant inherent.
Yes.
Inherited,
Yes.
inherent. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, there is that what's become sort of a controversy with various implications. And I don't want to say too much about that at present, because I'm reading something about it, and I think it's an interesting, an engaging issue. The argument you want to make, apparently, is that if we are part and parcels of the Lord, then it must mean that in some sense, rasa is within us as well. It might be possible to argue that. On the other hand, it might also be argued that in terms of inherence, what we have inherently is a capacity. And that capacity is to respond or to reciprocate, to respond to, or to use the imagery of rasa as taste. We have the inherent capacity to taste rasa. And then it becomes a question of how that capacity becomes manifest. And in terms of the 10 principles here, that would take us to number 9, sadhana shuddha bhakti. A quick response to a quick question from Ipek. She's asking, where is this document? Yes, I'm sorry, I haven't made this document available. What you have is just a very, very short overview with some lists. But what I'm showing is something else. It's a much longer text. It's more than 200 pages long. And it's 284 pages to be exact. Now I just see on my screen. It's almost 300 pages. I could make this available. I have to think, because the one I have is a little bit marked here and there. It's basically to be shared. Mother Ormila gave permission, so we can share it. And it's also, I believe, Daitesha has undertaken a huge project of translating this. Am I right, Daitesha? You're in the middle of translating. I won't bother. Anyway, so yeah, I should make it available. So that answers that question. And back to the controversial question, I think what we want to look for whenever there's such controversy is, where are we going wrong in thinking that there's a controversy? Because if acharyas are saying, are presenting Shastra, we want to preserve our faith in all the acharyas, which means we want to see how they are giving the same message, which suggests that if we're seeing different messages, maybe it's us who are getting it wrong. And maybe it's not something, well, one thing is it may well be something beyond our comprehension. But the other is not that it's forever beyond comprehension, but it's something we can endeavor to comprehend, but with great, great patience and care, not to have a foregone conclusion, thinking it's got to be either this or that. I think we should be suspicious whenever that's something in an either or sort of a presentation. And I believe that's also the case here. Yeah, okay. Let's see, shall we just go on or? Well, let's see from your comments in the chat. Tira Lalita is saying it seems that Krishna is performing his pastimes not for only his pleasure, but for the enjoyment of his devotees as well. Krishna fulfills desires of his devotees to serve him. Yeah, that's indeed. It's said that this is the Lord's main purpose. He wants to please his devotees. He's paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. But his main function is paritranaya sadhunam. And the vinashaya chaduskritam, that's done as a side activity. And it's not done by Krishna directly. Krishna is letting his various other forms do that. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see what's next. Some explanation again, the same. Okay, here's some technical terms. Oh, sorry, no, this is something else. Okay, this is interesting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur expands the Dashamula from 10 topics to 20 topics, explained in 20 chapters. And here are the contents of the chapters. Many years ago, this is one of the, I don't know how many projects I've started and not finished. I started years ago to prepare a new edition of the Bhagavad Arka Marichimala. I wanted to make it more accessible and more usable by devotees. Now we only have from Gaudiya Math versions, old versions. Maybe someone's done a more recent version, I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe. But it's basically Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's verse book. It's his favorite verses from the Bhagavatam, but divided into these 20 topics. So it's 20 chapters. So it can be a very nice resource if you can find some copy of Bhagavad-artika Marichimala, you can use it as a kind of resource, a kind of index for these 20 subjects. So the first subject is pramana nirdesha, indications of evidence. And then Bhagavad-artika Udaya, the rising sun of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavata Vivritti, the exposition of Bhagavata. Bhagavat Swarupa Tattvam, the effectual truth of Krishna. Bhagavat Shakti Tattva, the essential nature of the energies of the Lord. Bhagavat Rasa Tattvam, principles of the Lord's mellows. Jiva Tattvam, essential nature of the individual soul, characteristics of the conditioned soul. Baddha Jiva Lakshanam, then fortunate souls, Bhagyavat Jiva Lakshanam. Achintya Beda Beda Lakshanam, and then we go into Avideya Vichara, Sadhana Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Aikantiki Namashraya Sadhana Bhakti. And then unfavorable conditions, Bhakti Pratikulya Vichara, Bhakti Anukulya Vichara, Bhava Udaya Kramaha, the gradual manifestation of Bhava, Prayojana Vichara, analysis of the goal of devotional service, Siddha Prema Rase, Rasa Mahima, the perfection of the mellow of pure love, and Siddha Prema Rase, Rasa Garima, the perfection of the mellow of pure love, the depth of rasa, the glories of rasa, and then the depth of rasa. And finally, rasa madhurima, the sweetness of rasa. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was we can say, systematic theologian. And he wanted to help us appreciate how all of these topics are present in the Bhagavatam. So he's giving selected verses from the Bhagavatam for each of these subjects. Okay, let's see now. I think what I want to do now is go way back. Whoops. To principles. Okay, here we go. Now, you may recall, we talked about this some weeks ago, that in this program of ISKCON Hermeneutics, we have identified 6 qualities for successfully engaging in this process. We've identified 24 principles to follow in the course of interpretation. Hermeneutics just means interpretation. And we identified 40 tools which give more specific, mainly I would say in the form of questions, how to address, how to approach Shastra in order to get clarifications. And ultimately what we're looking for is an increase of shraddha, of faith. Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya Hridoye Korya Aikya. Satatam bhajivo prema majje. Faith that will lead ultimately to prema, so that we can become absorbed in prema. Ado shraddha, tata sadhu-sango tato bhajana kriya, tato anartha nivritti syat, tato nishta rachistata. Tata saktistato bhava. Tada tata prema abhyudanchati. Sadhakaman ayam premna pradurbhave bhavet karma. Okay, we started to look at this some weeks ago, and I think we already looked at this first one. This is an overarching principle, so it goes even before the first of the 24. The overarching principle for followers of Srila Prabhupada, understanding tradition through Srila Prabhupada, accepting Srila Prabhupada as the representative and conveyor of the essence of the tradition and parampara in the most appropriate way for our understanding and application. Now, before I go on with this, though, I don't remember where it is, but somewhere we explained that it's actually a circle. We understand Srila Prabhupada, or we understand Shastra through Srila Prabhupada, and vice versa, we understand Srila Prabhupada through Shastra. So it's a kind of back and forth, or I like to say a kind of spiraling process. And why do we put so much emphasis, in this case, on this overarching principle of seeing through Srila Prabhupada? Well, there's a Shastric evidence for this, and that is this final verse of Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Yasya deve parabhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaite katita hyarta prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls, mahatmana, who have implicit faith. Now the word faith is not actually in the verse. But it's in the form of yata tata, as there is bhakti in the Lord, deve, tata, in the same way, bhakti in the Guru. So here bhakti is actually the word which includes, or which must be rooted in faith. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Prakashante means revealed, manifest, made visible. And artaha means meanings or imports. And it's tasya ete katita. Ete means these. These artas, these meanings. So the word Veda is not in the verse. So how do we know this is about Veda? Well, we'd have to look at Shvetashvatara Upanishad and see what is before this verse. Is it talking generally about Veda? It might be. I don't know. I haven't looked recently. But it might not. It might be simply giving its own teachings, in which case one could take the verse as referring to these teachings, or these meanings, or these truths, artha, which have just been spoken in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. That's also possible, but even in that case, what are the Upanishads? The Upanishads are sort of boiled down essence of Veda, right? So in that way, we can understand this verse. Now, at this point, we might want to object. We might want to say, oh, Mahatmana, for the Mahatma, that's, and we may say, oh, well, that's for the Mahatma, and excuse me, but I'm not a Mahatma, and I don't see myself as becoming a Mahatma. So this is not for me, and therefore I'm not going to understand the imports of Veda. Well, no, the whole idea of Veda is to challenge us to become qualified, to become Mahatma. We don't want to remain duratma. We don't want to be duratma. We want to become, we want to have ourselves, Atman, become expansive, I think is a nice way to put it. Not great in the sense, oh, I'm a great soul, but expansive in the sense of being able to receive the Lord's mercy and thus to share the Lord's mercy with others. There's a purport from Srila Prabhupada. He's talking about the parampara system, worship of the acharya, approach of the acharya, acharyavan purusho veda. On a morning walk, Srila Prabhupada said, our whole process is following the example of predecessors, nothing independent. So that principle should be followed. We do not accept any preceptor who is free from the predecessors. Yeah, if someone comes along and says, well, I've had this vision of Krishna. Okay, that's nice. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I'll give the benefit of the doubt that you have had some vision. But for me, I will listen to one who has had a vision, has seen, has heard his own guru, his or her own guru. Okay, and here in Seattle, Prabhupada said, we are speaking on the strength of scripture, saintly persons, and spiritual master. That is the way of understanding. Interesting, because that's paraphrasing the song from Narottam Das Thakur, Sadhu-sange, Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya. Okay. More, so many quotes from Prabhupada. Prabhupada wrote to Brihaspati in Delhi, I am successful in my teaching work because I have not deviated 1 inch from my spiritual master's instruction. This is my only qualification. Many times, of course, Prabhupada would speak like this. I'm simply following my guru. As transparent via media, he would sometimes use that expression. This is a longer one. Okay, we're kind of running out of time. Okay, Giriraj Swami gives some explanation of this longer, I guess it's of this longer quote. And here, this is interesting. He says, one example of understanding our tradition through Srila Prabhupada would be how we observe Ekadashi. Our food restrictions are relatively minor compared to those of other Gaudiya Vaishnava groups. And we generally go about our day as normal, except for a change in diet. We are satisfied that the restrictions Srila Prabhupada gave us are sufficient. Given that Srila Prabhupada derived his authority from the tradition, we find places where he told us that individually we can take on greater austerities on Ekadashi as fully within our tradition. The harmonizing would be that we would not impose those greater austerities on official ISKCON programs, nor propagate them as being higher or better than what he gave us. So yeah, that's a nice example. It's not forbidden to do more austerity. That's within the tradition, but we have a general standard and we respect that. We don't say something more austerity is necessarily better. It might not be better because one might become proud that one is doing more austerity, and then the benefit of that austerity is canceled out by thinking, I am doing so much austerity, look at me. Okay, well, here we are again. The end of our time for today. I failed to mention today is the, I think, appearance day of Virachandra. Srila Virachandra Mahashaya, the son of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Vasudha Devi. A very great acharya of our tradition. But I will stop there and I will wish you all a wonderful week. I see, okay, Avadhuta Rai has already shared this document. Hopefully that's the latest one, because there have been various versions. But even if it's not the latest, it'll be close. So, Hare Krishna, we will end there. And I think you've seen Dear Lalita's message. She's asking, dear family, please stay for our Vyasa Puja meeting after this Sangha. Of course, if you can. I don't think I'm invited to that meeting, so I will bow out. Let me stop this. Yeah. And all the best for your meeting and all the best for your week. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go,
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.